Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of 10-Minute Cooking Techniques. In this one, I'm going to be showing you how to cook pork. So in this case, we've got ourselves some pork medallions. Um, they were frozen. Chopped them up. Put in some of this. This is just a simple dry rub seasoning. Let it marinate in there for a little while. Have the wok up around 8 or 7. Depends on the coil. I'm using an electric range and a cast iron wok. Yeah, so the thing is, you don't want to have it on max. The idea is that you want to have the heat high enough. You want to have the heat high enough so that you can sear the meat, low enough that you don't overdo the outside, and you want to leave the meat in there long enough for the heat to penetrate through. To allow the heat to penetrate all the way through the medallion, and you can pretty much tell if it's cooked or not, both by cutting into it. It's fine that way, but also telling just by the texture of the meat. You'll find that raw meats are very, very soft, whereas as it gets more and more properly done, it will start to firm up. This one here feels kind of firm. So really, the way you tell is just wobble it around. Another thing I can tell you is that the wok, there's a hot spot, which is only about this size. You don't want to be putting too much into the wok all the way around here, because what happens is this cold meat is going to quench the wok, and the heat can only come off of the oven range at a certain rate. If you are pulling heat off of this wok because of that cold meat on there, the temperature just will never get high enough to properly cook the meat. It will wind up just boiling the meat, and that's gross. No one likes boiled meat. You want the meat to properly sear and to fry. Ah, there we are. Nice little bit of browning going on. That is looking quite nice and beautiful. So yeah, we kind of started this thing off in the middle just as I was pulling the meat off, so you can just see what the finished product looks like. Tricky doing this with one hand. Ah, it feels pretty good. Good. So there we go. Now, another thing that's important is that the dish that holds the cooked meat should be further away from your raw dish. Your raw dish needs to be closer to the wok. The reason for that is that if the raw stuff ever drips, it's okay. It's not dripping onto your sterilized stuff that you're going to eat. That would be a health hazard. So yeah, don't do that. All right, so we've got here once again empty wok. I am using canola oil. This is a very, very good cooking oil that doesn't burn. I just dribble that in there. I use a pump bottle. Pump bottles are a very good way to store the stuff. You can put it in the fridge so it doesn't go rancid. Nice thing about canola oil is it can get really, really hot and it won't smoke, or it doesn't smoke unless you're at max heat. And the way to tell whether or not the wok is hot enough is have some onions sliced beforehand. Just put an onion in there and let that boil up for a bit. So yeah, just let the onion brown. Let it brown, let it turn golden, and we'll just wait on that. You can turn it over. So that's the thing, is that when this onion's caramelized, the wok will be about hot enough. Some people say you can stick a chopstick in there and see if it boils, but I prefer using the onion just because it's I want to cook the onions anyways. I think it tastes really, really nice when you cook the pork with the onions. All right, yeah, let's cut into this guy. Split it up. Going to increase the amount of surface area for the onion to cook. The finer you cut it, the faster it'll cook, but I still like my pieces, reasonable size. Bite size is good. Nothing too long or stringy to choke on. That is looking a-okay. Alright. So, once again, pair of tongs to handle that. So the thing is, I'm using the tongs to handle the uncooked meat. The wok spatula, we call it a tan, wok tan. This thing will, I leave it in the wok, I let this thing heat up with the rest of the meat, so it will generally be sterilized along with the rest of the meat. Just flatten that out. Right in the, make sure it has good contact with the wok, center of the wok. get in that sweet spot. And then if you want, I mean, you could cover it too. It's like there's a fair amount of oil spray, so if you want, you can cover it for a bit. Let it sit for a little while. Yeah. So cooking meat, actually not too hard. Just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of preparation. Just make sure you've got your meats all marinated, seasoned, defrosted. If you have any ice in your meat, it's going to quench the wok extra, so it's going to make it a lot more difficult. And yeah, have some onions on hand, have those cut beforehand. Pretty simple. So, here we go. Once again, this is what it looks like now. You can just flip all of it over. So don't just stir it crazily. You want to do one side, flip it over. Having just a few pieces of small batch like this lets you control the heat very effectively. You're going to do a much better job if you do it this way. So I know it's still raw, so I'm going to just put that there. Take the cover. And yeah, that's pretty much all it takes. Just wash, rinse, repeat.